this is Haley Morgan
and Sheridan Ader,
and this is our extra credit video for Mr. Lankford's 2401 Anatomy and Physiology class. We are going to talk about the body joints today. And if you are ready, so are we. So let's just go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the skull. The skull sutures in the pink are fibrous sutures. Their functional type is center-thoracic. Now we're going to look at the atlanto-occipital joint. It is a synovial condylar. Its functional type is diathoracic. Now we will look at the atlantoaxial joint. Its structure type is synovial pivot. Its functional type is diathoracic. Now you will look at the purple. It is the intervertebral joint. It is cartilaginous symphysis. Functional type, amphithoracic. Now look at the blue. It is also intervertebral joint, and its structural type is synovial plane. Function type, diathoracic. Now please look at the pink. It is costovertebral joint, structural type synovial plane also. It is also diathoracic. Now let's look at the sternum. The pink is sternoclavicular. Structural type synovial saddle. It is diathoracic. Now look at the blue. It is sternocostal joint. It is cartilaginous synchondrosis. It is synothoracic. The orange is also sternocostal joint. Its structural type is a synovial double plane, and it is diathoracic. Now we will look at the mandible. It is temporomandibular joint. It is a synovial hinge. It is diathoracic. Now let's look at the arm. The red is a acromioclavicular joint. It is a synovial plane, and it is diathoracic. Now we will look at the shoulder. It is a synovial plane with a functional type of diathoracic. Now let's look at the elbow. The elbow joint is a synovial hinge with a functional type of diathoracic. And now we will look at the proximal radio-ulnar. It is a synovial pivot, which is diathoracic. Now let's go a little bit farther towards the wrist and look at the distal radio-ulnar, the purple. It is a synovial pivot that is diathoracic. Now let's look at the wrist, which is pink. It is a synovial condylar excuse me. It is a
synovial condylar.
And it is diathyrotic. Now, let's look at the intercarpal, which is yellow. And it is a synovial plane with the functional type of also diathyrotic. Now, let's look at the metacarpophalangeal, which is the knuckles. They are a synovial
condylar
with the functional type of diathyrotic. Now, we will look at the carpometacarpals, which are digits 2 through 5. It is a synovial plane, which is diathyrotic. Now, if we look at digit 1, the thumb, it is a carpometacarpal joint. It is a synovial saddle with a functional type of diathyrotic. Now, look at the red lines. Those are interphalangeal joints. They have a synovial hinge with the functional type of diathyrotic. And if you noticed from the acromioclavicular all the way down to the interphalangeal, they all have a functional type of diathyrotic and also have a structural type of synovial. Now, let's move on to the hip down. Okay, we will look at the pubic symphysis joint. It is the blue line. It is a cartilaginous symphysis, and its functional type is amphithyrotic. There is also a joint called the sacroiliac, but you cannot see that because it is inside of that, and you only could see it if it was cut in half. But the sacroiliac structural type is a synovial plane that is diathyrotic. Now let's look at the hip, which is the coxal also. It is a synovial ball and socket. Its functional type is diathyrotic. Now let's make our way down to the knee. The lighter blue is known as the knee femoropatellar. And you can remember that because the knee, the front of the knee is the patellar. The structural type is a synovial plane that is diathyrotic. Now let's look at the darker blue. That is also known as the knee, but it is known as the tibiofemoral. It is a synovial hinge because that is where the knee bends. It is diathyrotic. Now let's look at the pink. That is known as the superior tibiofibular joint. It is a synovial plane that is diathyrotic. Now let's look at the inferior tibiofibular, which is the green. It is fibrosis syndesmosis. It is synarthrotic. Now we will look at the ankle, which is in purple. The ankle joint is a synovial hinge because that is where the ankle meets the leg. It is diathoracic. Your intertarsal, which is the blue line, is a synovial plane because it is flat, the flat top part of your foot. It is diathoracic. And the tarsometatarsal, which is almost like your tarsometatarsals are a synovial plane also that are diathoracic. Now let's look at the darker blue. These are called metatarsophalangeals. They are a synovial condylar, and they are diathoracic. Now we will look at the red. Those are the toes. They are called the interphalangeals. They are a synovial hinge because they do bend. Their functional type is diathoracic.
We hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.